now is a perfect opportunity to go over and chat to Dan from NextPlay about what you should actually be doing. Dan, hopefully now we've got you live on the show, mate. We won't have any technical difficulties. How are you?
Good. Thanks. How you doing, Ben, Jack?
No problem at all. Thank you for coming on. I think we should start actually by talking a little bit about what it's been like for you. Obviously, you used to work for LinkedIn. You now work as a company who provides services for LinkedIn. So what's it been like for you the last few years watching the platform grow?
So the platform's grown a lot, right? It's pretty amazing to see that growth come through. But it's not that surprising, right? You think Microsoft spent what 26.2 billion buying the platform, so they've got to see the potential in the platform, in the members, in the purpose of the company. So really, from that point of view, it's not as surprising. When I joined back in 2012, there's around 100 million members. When I left, there's around 350 million. That's in 2017. They're up to about 700 million now. But it's the tip of the iceberg, right? So once you get that integration with Microsoft, the full integration, they're looking at hitting the 3 billion mark, which is staggering. Everyone's going to be on there. You won't even know it. If you've got Office, you're going to be on there. That's how it's going to go. So that growth is being big, but I think that development, right? So that movement from, well, traditionally, let's call it a jobs board, into more of a business content hub. I think that's the exciting development that's happened over the last few years.
What do you think that integration is going to look like then when they integrate the majority of Microsoft software in with LinkedIn as a platform? Would it be like Teams will no longer be Teams? It will more be a LinkedIn-based thing, or do you think it will just be an integration between the two?
Yeah, it's a gradual integration, right? So LinkedIn typically do things fairly slowly in a very measured approach, right? So where someone like Facebook, they would be a bit more experimental and they're ahead of the curve and they try new things. LinkedIn are very measured because it's one of their values is about members first. So they want to make sure everything they do is lined up perfectly for the members and it works and it's for them. So it's kind of slow and measured in that respect. The integration, I think, is going to be, again, it's slow, but you're already seeing it come through. So when you've got your Outlook calendar, you're now seeing the people that you're meeting on LinkedIn. You can start looking at their profiles before you're going in to see them in person or on the phone or on Zoom or whatever else, right? So that integration is a little slower, but that's where it's coming from.
I think you hitting on the slow and gradual processes that LinkedIn go through. Actually, there's no better evidence of that than recent features that have been released, like LinkedIn Events and LinkedIn Live, which still hasn't been rolled out properly. Like I can't tell you since the start of last year how many times I've applied for LinkedIn Live and obviously hear nothing back whatsoever. So I suppose talking about that and talking about these gradual features, we've heard about stories this week, actually. What features are you looking forward to the most coming out of LinkedIn? Have you heard any rumors or anything about what might be coming in the future?
So you're cracking up slightly there, but I think I've got the gist of it.
Sorry.
So no, it's all right. I think it's possibly mine. Yeah, the stories is another interesting development, but again, it's picking up on some of the elements that are working in other social media platforms and just twisting it slightly and adapting it for the business environment. So that's what they tend to do. They will look at what's working out there in other platforms and take the best bits for themselves. So that will come through. But again, it's a slow process. I think one of the bigger challenges they've got is with groups, right? I mean, that's always been the problem child. What the hell do they do with groups? That will change and over time as well. That might even go. I don't really know. But
you've seen Facebook groups during lockdown have taken off.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that. Yeah, they have. But also, actually, bear in mind that roughly 25% of the UK workforce has been furloughed right now, right? Yeah. LinkedIn's very much a work-based platform. So I don't know this for a fact because I haven't got access to the data anymore, but you can bet your bottom dollar that the numbers who are on LinkedIn are down at the moment. So there's not as many people on there searching and looking around. There's not as many ads being posted because of that. So the numbers are down slightly. But that's not to say that the right people and the right connections aren't there and available. So it still needs, the smart people are still on there and the smart people are still using it.
Talking about those smart people, maybe the people who are furloughed right now or not as busy as potentially they have been in the past, personal profiles on LinkedIn. Obviously, personal branding is and building your personal brand is big on LinkedIn. It's one of the biggest platforms for doing so and one of the most suitable platforms for doing so. So I was just wondering if you've got 2 or 3 tips maybe to give to people as what you feel like are the key and most important areas that people should be improving their personal profile during this downtime.
Yeah. Okay, so at the very, very basic level, getting your photo right is absolutely key, right? That's the first thing that people look at. It's the first thing people see. It's your personal brand. If you've got a good photo or any photo actually to start with, you're going to get more engagement. It's a basic. Getting that right is also difficult, right? There's an awful lot of examples of bad photos where you're with your mates, you think, oh, look, this is my picture at my wedding. It's the best picture of me. I'm sticking that on it. No one cares. Or this is a picture of me with my fluffy kitten. No one cares. Consider it as the business environment and think, when you're looking at these pictures, is that person you want to hire? Is that a person who you want to do business with? Is that a company you want to do business with? And if you use those same set of rules for your own picture, then it's a decent starting place. I mean, a few other things, make sure it's high res and all that kind of stuff. Think of your backgrounds as well. But actually, one tip that's typically it's not talked around is get someone else to choose your picture. Because the reason is, when you've got your own picture and you're choosing it yourself, everyone's got hang-ups, right? Everyone's got an issue with something. And you don't want to be looking at that and you're going, oh, I don't like that hair out of place. I don't like that blemish over there, or whatever it might be, right? So if you get other people to do it, they don't see this. They see you just as you are, and they have a better perspective on what a good picture of you looks like. So that's quite key.
Yeah, no, pictures definitely key. Have you got anything else to do with the profile side of things?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could go on for days on this. But I mean, getting
one more.
Okay, so the key to this also is your summary. Get your summary correct. Yeah. Now, it sounds quite easy, but it's not, because not everyone's a copywriter. You've got to get it short. You've got to get it pithy. You've got to get it conveying everything you want it to convey, so that someone knows whether they should contact you. And you've got to do it very quick. You've got a couple of seconds at most to convey everything you need. That's tough. So spend time over that. Make sure you get that correct. Then as you go down, you can start thinking about your content, and you start thinking about how you become a digital leader in that space. That's where you get into the difficulties. How do you become a digital leader? How do you improve your personal brand? That's where it gets really tough.
It's interesting what you're saying there about the summary, because it's so difficult to write about yourself and then to know, like, well, wait a second, if someone else is reading this, what person should I be writing it in? Like, how should I be writing it? So again, like, I think that's a really good tip that you gave, like, in terms of asking someone else to have a look at your picture and pick it for you. Potentially also have a look at someone reading over your summary and giving you some tips and tricks, because that input's really crucial, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So talk to people you trust, and actually something that I advise anyone to do is to almost build their, what I call your personal board of directors, right? So these are people you trust, people you can go to. They don't even know that they're on your kind of board of directors, but you go to them with this stuff and you go, look, just have a read through. Tell me what you think. And there's a couple of styles that you can adopt here. You can take your work experience through as a story. Or you can talk more about the skills that you've adapted during or used during those kind of periods of work. What you shouldn't do is just take it as your digital CV. It's more than that. People want a CV, give them a CV. LinkedIn is not just a digital CV. It's more than that. It's a way to highlight and showcase why you're the best person for either a role or the best company to work for.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, as a business right now, the majority of our leads are actually coming through LinkedIn, because it's a platform where you can generate that. And my profile is quite key to that. So actually, a few tips you give me there, I've not done. So I'm actually going to try them out. Tracy's just said, great idea to get someone you respect and trust to choose your profile picture as well. I think that's a really, really good tip. And what about for business pages? Because obviously they don't get as much they don't get highlighted as much. They don't get the core part of LinkedIn's algorithm. Like, you know, they don't get the best traction, but they are still important, aren't they? So is there any tips you'd give around LinkedIn pages, business pages?
Yeah. And again, you've got a full scale of the kind of work you can do here. So again, get the basics right, get the hygienics right. So your admin, make sure your contact details are in there. How do people, when they go through your company page, they get the information they want, how do they reach out to you to actually engage you on more of a personal level? And actually think about this. LinkedIn is a brilliant place to meet people, to connect with them, to understand what they're doing. But then the magic really happens when you're offline, right? So you take that apart. But you've got a better chance of actually meeting someone if you've connected with them on LinkedIn. And we've got proof of this. I say they. When I used to work there, we had this proof. So once you've got that you've built that connection with someone, you start building trust with them, and you've got a better chance of actually meeting them in person. Not at the moment, of course, or on the old-fashioned phone. Use it, pick it up, talk to someone. That's where the magic happens. But you build that trust and that connection to start with via LinkedIn, and that can happen through your company page. So you make sure that's all correct. You make sure that's in place. Then you start thinking of your content strategy. What is it you want to be posting? But on that, also consider the mindset of the users within the LinkedIn platform. So this is very much a business platform, and people think of it as such. So the kind of things that you would post on other social channels is not the same as you would post within the LinkedIn world. Something we used to say is don't mix your Friday night with your Monday morning, right? Keep those separated. Not to say that LinkedIn should be treated as boring. It's certainly not, but treat it as a professional place and think of your content accordingly. With a lot of social platforms, it's about look at me, look how great I am, and look at all these wonderful things I've done. LinkedIn, it's about the people who follow you, the followers of a company. I'm doing this for you. So I'm posting this for you. I'm helping you be better at what you're doing. And that's a very different mindset that you need to kind of adapt to actually grow your presence and increase your followers. So that's the one thing that I'd really advocate for your company pages. When you're posting, what is it your followers want to see?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really useful advice, Dan. Thank you for that. And I think a lot of people can take away from that. And also what I'd say on the back of that, don't sit on your company page. Don't sit there thinking that the only thing that matters is your personal profile, because brand pages do matter as well. And I think what's quite important is just watching LinkedIn at the moment. We spoke a bit about features. LinkedIn business pages can now host events. They can now post jobs. You can now invite connections to pages. Live streaming is coming to business pages soon. And I think that will potentially roll out to business before personal, potentially. So just don't sit on your company page. Keep it going, keep producing content, and like you said, do it in a way which is professional and obviously business like, and use some of Dan's tips to really expand what you've got already. Dan, before you go and before we say goodbye to you, just quickly a little bit about NextPlay and sort of what NextPlay have been doing with clients during these tough times to try and excel them on the platform.
Yeah. So, and like you say, it's a tough time for many businesses, NextPlay included, right? Things are changing, things are shifting at the moment in the way that people are approaching work, and the future of work as well. So, on one hand, you've got this profile building. So, on a personal level, people are getting themselves ready for their next play. That's where it came from, where they're going to be moving to in their next role, what they want to be doing. So, they're building that profile on one hand. Then you've got the marketing side of things and the content. So making sure people are getting their content strategies correct. And this is actually very key, because where certain companies are working well in this space, they're engaging their employees. And if you can engage your employees, they become your advocates, right? So then they are almost like your foot soldiers. You treat them well, they look after you, and you get better engagement actually when your staff are actually posting things for you, as opposed to when you're posting stuff through a company page. So you engage those, get that right as well. And then actually the hiring side of things is actually, it's dropped off a cliff, of course, right? That's how it is at the moment. But lead generation, that's the stuff. That's where the optimism is right now. And that's where we've been helping people as well. So lead generation is something that the optimism is growing. And that's where we're also talking to clients as well.
Where can people find out more about you, Dan, and more about NextPlay?
Sorry, say that again.
Where can people find out more about you and Next Play as well?
Where can they find us?
Yeah, where can they find you?
Well, best place, LinkedIn.
Good job, you said it.
Jump onto LinkedIn, connect with us there. That's the absolute best place to find out exactly what we do, how we can help you during these tough times. But like I say, the smart people are using the platform at the moment to get ready for when we're out of the pandemic.
Brilliant. Dan, thank you so much for coming on, mate. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure we'll see you around more, and we'll see Next Play around more as well. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Thank you, Dan. Cheers. Thank you very much.